In Chicago, I watched a powerful love story unfold between a talented 28-year-old photographer and a successful 35-year-old businesswoman who couldn't stop thinking about his photos. Drawn in by the emotion behind his work, she learned who he was and made a daring decision to hide her wealth and approach him as someone with nothing. What begins as a simple meeting turns into shared space, shared mornings, and a bond that feels dangerously real. But every secret has a cost, and when the truth edges closer, their growing romance faces a moment that could change everything. Chapter 1. The photos that stopped her cold. I first saw him across the gallery floor, standing beside his own work like he didn't fully believe he belonged there. He was 28, with that calm focus artists get when the world is too loud and a camera is the only steady thing. His Chicago street photography filled the room. Winter wind whipping off the lake, commuters under the L tracks, a small kid laughing in front of a mural, a couple holding hands at a crosswalk like they were the only two people alive. The photos weren't flashy. They were honest. She arrived late, and everyone noticed, even if they pretended not to. A 35-year-old businesswoman with the kind of presence money can polish into perfection. I recognized her immediately, not because she wanted to be recognized, but because the city always whispers about people like her. She moved through the crowd, then stopped in front of one photo and just stayed there. Her face softened in a way I doubt her boardroom ever gets to see. When she finally spoke to him, her voice was controlled, but her eyes weren't. "These feel like memories," she said, "like I've lived inside them." He smiled politely. That's the best compliment I could get. She asked his name, where he shot, how long he'd been photographing Chicago. He answered simply, like he wasn't trying to sell himself. And I could tell that, for her, that was the most dangerous kind of charm. Chapter 2. A disguise made of pride. She didn't approach him as herself again. Not really that a few days after the gallery night, she returned to the neighborhood where he lived, dressed down in clothes that didn't announce anything. She'd learned enough about him, his modest life, his small client jobs, his habit of photographing early mornings by the river. Her assistant tried to talk her out of it, but she wasn't looking for advice. She was looking for proof. When she ran into him outside a coffee shop, she acted like it was a coincidence. She told him she was new to the area, between jobs, staying with a friend temporarily. Her story was careful, but sadness sat under it like a weight till he listened. And he didn't ask the kind of questions people ask when they're searching for status. He asked if she was safe. And that was the moment she decided to push the lie further. One night, she showed up trembling, holding a small suitcase, saying the friend arrangement had ended. She didn't say the words, "I have nowhere to go," but she didn't have to. He looked at her, then at the cold Chicago street, and his decision came fast. "You can stay at my place," he said. "Couch is yours, as long as you need." The relief on her face looked real, which scared me, because I realized she wasn't just testing him anymore. She was stepping into a life she'd never had to live, and part of her wanted it. Chapter 3. The apartment where love grew quietly. Living together turned their conversations into something steady. Mornings were coffee and soft jokes. Evenings were him editing photos while she sat nearby, pretending she wasn't memorizing every detail of his face. He didn't treat her like a charity project. He treated her like a person who mattered. When she offered to help with rent, he refused without making her feel small. "Just be here," he told her. "That's enough." She started going out with him on shoots. I watched them once at a street festival, weaving through people, sharing food, pausing when he saw a moment worth capturing. He was always looking for truth in the noise, and she, for the first time in years, wasn't performing. She laughed with her whole body. She listened without checking a phone. She looked at him like his attention was oxygen point one night. There were cheap fairy lights in the apartment and music from someone's playlist. She wore a modest dress she probably bought for the role, and he looked at her like he forgot the rest of Chicago existed. They danced, awkward and close, and when his hand settled at her waist, she leaned in like she'd been waiting a long time for someone to hold her without wanting something in return. It'd be by the time they kissed, it didn't feel sudden. It felt inevitable, but I could see it in her eyes afterward. Love was here, real and warm, and the lie was still sitting between them, quiet as a loaded gun. Chapter 4. The truth hits like winter wind. The truth didn't arrive gently. It never does that a luxury car appeared near his building one afternoon. Too expensive for the street, too out of place to ignore. A security man stepped out, scanning the sidewalk like danger might jump from behind a parking meter. She went pale. He saw it all, the car, the man, the way she froze. He asked what was going on, and she tried to talk her way out, but her voice broke in the middle. Later, inside the apartment, he confronted her with what he'd found. Her real last name, her company, articles about her, pictures of her at events wearing dresses worth more than his camera. He didn't yell at first. That was the worst part. His hurt was quiet. So you were never in trouble, he said. You never needed help. You were just testing me. Tears ran down her face. She tried to explain how lonely wealth can be, how people treat you like a prize, how she needed to know if love could be clean, but he wasn't hearing poetry. He was hearing humiliation. You made me feel proud of who I am, he said, voice shaking, and you did it with a lie. When he asked her to leave, it felt like the room lost all air. She stood at the door, reaching for him, stopping herself, as if she finally understood that love can't be grabbed. It has to be given back freely. I saw him later that night on a bridge, gripping his camera like it could keep him from falling apart. And for the first time, the man who captured everyone else's truth didn't know what to do with his own. Chapter 5. The work of earning forgiveness. She didn't disappear, even though she could have flown to anywhere in the world to avoid shame. Instead, she stayed in Chicago and did the one thing she'd never trained for. She faced consequences without trying to buy her way out. She wrote him a letter, handwritten, not typed by an assistant. She didn't defend herself in it. She apologized without bargaining. She showed up at places that mattered to him, not to corner him, but to understand him. She attended a community photography workshop he taught, sitting in the back, quiet, letting him pretend she wasn't there. When he finally agreed to meet at a cafe, he looked exhausted, guarded. She slid an envelope across the table, not money, not gifts. Inside were documents, a donation plan for a youth arts program, funding for cameras and classes, all set up anonymously. I'm not doing this to impress you, she said. I'm doing it because your work reminded me what people need, and because I hurt you and I can't undo it. I can only change what I do next. He stared at her for a long time. I could tell he wanted to stay angry, because anger can feel safer than hope. The moment that cracked him wasn't grand. It was simple. I loved you, he said quietly. I love you, she answered, steady. Even if you never forgive me. They walked by Lake Michigan later, wind pulling at their coats, waves striking the shore like they had something to say. She didn't ask for another chance that night. She just told him the truth, fully at last, and he listened. Chapter 6. A love chosen on purpose. Forgiveness is not a single moment. It's a decision people make again and again until it feels like peace. Weeks passed and they rebuilt slowly. No games, no tests. She let him see the parts of her life she used to hide behind glass. Meetings, pressure, constant expectations. And he let her see his fears, that he'd been a lesson in her life, not a partner. Then one afternoon, she brought him to a quiet conservatory, all green light and soft air, a calm corner of the city. She wore an elegant dress, but she wasn't performing. Her hands were shaking. I tried to prove something the wrong way, she said, and I almost lost the best thing I've ever had. She took a breath, looked up at him, and asked him to marry her. His eyes filled, and for a second he didn't speak. Then he nodded like the decision had been growing inside him for a long time. Yes, he said, but only if we promise no more pretending. They married in Chicago, surrounded by warm lights and real smiles. Her assistant cried. Even the security man looked softened by the day. And when it was time to choose where they'd live, she didn't force him into her world without consent. She invited him in. They moved into her mansion together, not as a rich woman and a poor man, but as two people who had finally stopped measuring love in money, pride, or fear, The last time I saw them, he was lifting his camera to photograph her by a tall window, Chicago glowing in the distance. She looked back at him with a smile that said the truth had cost them both something, but had given them something better, a love chosen on purpose. If you enjoyed this romantic Chicago story, please subscribe to the channel, activate notifications, give this video a like, leave a comment with your favorite moment, and share the video with someone who loves emotional love stories.